Yeah, welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. We turn our attention now to track and field. Jamaica's Shericka Jackson blazed to a world-leading 10.82 seconds to win the 100 metres at Saturday's Velocity Fest meet, a World Continental Tour Challenge event in Kingston. Shericka's run was also a meet record and raced the previous world lead of 10.86 seconds set hours earlier by the American Aliyah Hobbs. Natasha Morrison, 11.09 seconds, finished second behind Jackson, while the Bahamian Anthony Strawn finished third in 11.11. Disappointingly, Brianna Williams was a no-show for the final after qualifying with a time of 11.34. Meanwhile, double Olympic champion Elaine Thompson-Herah was a no-show for the heats. Here to analyse some of the big storylines coming out of track and field this weekend is our in-house analyst, Leighton Levy. Leighton, 10.82 for Shericka Jackson, the current world 200-metre champion. Very impressive. Can't say I'm surprised. She had a 50.92 400-metre win in late March, which sets her up for a good 100, 200-metre season.
Absolutely. And of course, the thing about it that surprised me was that when she said she wanted to go faster than 10.82, which is her fastest opener ever, she was aiming for 10.79, she says. So what I'd said earlier, and I think I remember I said it on set here, with the 3/400s that she ran earlier this season, if she was running anything like 11 flat 10.9, the world was in trouble. The world is in trouble because if she's put, last year she opened with, she ran 11 flat in May. I think it was with a what was that, a minus 1.7 wind. I think that was about a 10, would be at 10.90 without that wind. She's faster this year. Last year she peaked out at 10.71. Chances are she's going to go a lot faster this year because she's clearly stronger and she's clearly faster.
Leighton, 10.82 on the face of it is a fabulous season opener from Shericka Jackson.
From anyone.
From anyone. But when you consider 10.82 into a minus 0.1 wind,
virtually still conditions,
what does that tell you about where this young lady can go in 2023?
Look, if that was a 1.5 wind, she'll be closer to 10.6. I think like 10.69 thereabouts. So if she would be opening with that wind behind her, you're looking at somebody who's potentially a consistent 10.6 sprinter last year. Remember this last year, she came pretty close, 10.71. But this is our third year running the 100. The mastery levels are not there yet.
Yes.
We still see where she still struggles with the start a little bit. It's not as smooth. The transition is not as crisp as she would have liked it. Her acceleration looks pretty solid to me, but the reality is that she's still mastering it. And I suspect that she's going to run a lot more hundreds this year, primarily because she's already qualified for the World Championships of the 200 because she's the defending champion. Yeah. So having run a few more races in the 100 this season, by the time she gets to the National Championships in July, we can expect to see her start much better. Her transitions are going to be a lot smoother. And she will be, I'm thinking realistically, Ricardo, to answer your question, somewhere 10.65, 10.62 in that range, based on what we've seen from her over the past 2 seasons.
I think given the right conditions, Shericka Jackson is at worst going to run 10.5 this year.
I wouldn't be surprised if it happens because, as I said before, we just pointed out, with the right conditions, that would have been a lot faster time. Yeah. I mean, if she had, for example, Aliyah Hobbs' 1.7 or 1.8 win on Saturday, she would have been racing 10.6 already. And so you're looking at somebody right now who already is the best combination sprinter in the world actively, who is going to get even better this year and potentially a lot faster than we've ever seen. And look, I hear a lot of people talking about Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, and we know how great Shelly is. But for the first time since, I don't know, now it's 5 years, with the exception of Elaine, I think Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is right. I mean, her place at the pinnacle could be under threat.
Talk about Shericka Jackson's confidence, because you just correctly mentioned that she hasn't been a 100-meter specialist until the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, 2020.
But based on her reaction to her time, would suggest that she expected an even faster time, which is mind-boggling to say the least. Is the confidence there for her to topless Shelly-Ann, who hasn't opened yet, so we're not sure what Shelly has to offer in 2023.
You have to believe that it is. I mean, 21-40, coming off a 21-45, 10-71 season. Yes. She said at the offseason that she was working on certain elements of her race to improve her performance over the 100. We saw her run 3-400s because she wanted to get back that base for the speed endurance that is critical for the 100, because as we have always come to establish, you hit top speed at about 55-60, and it's who can hold that speed longest that will win a race, and the person who slows down the fastest loses. What we've seen from Shericka Jackson is a consistent improvement over that last 40, where she's able to hold that speed a lot longer, and of course it translates to that 21-45 that we saw for the 200. So when you're looking at somebody who's been able to accomplish all these things, including her first individual world title last year, her confidence is right where it needs to be, because now she believes she can do anything she sets her mind to, and all those barriers, those mental barriers that would have probably said you might not be able to do that, are now gone. So she's running free now mentally, and it's all now about putting the technical areas of her race together, and then we're going to see something spectacular.
Yeah, I think the world should be on notice. As I said, I fully expect her to run 10.5 for the 100 meters this year, and I fully expect her to break the 200 meters world record, a record we previously thought unbeatable, held by Florence Griffith Joyner. But Elaine Thompson-Herah, a no-show at the Velocity Fest in Kingston at the weekend. Leighton, what did you make of her no-show?
I really honestly don't know. I thought about it a lot. I was at the stadium on Saturday thinking, because I went there specifically to see her, to see Shericka, to see Brianna Williams, and a couple other people who I had in mind to do some interviews with. And her not showing up was a bit of a disappointment. I haven't heard anything from her camp. In fact, I don't think anybody has, actually. Wherein you're not hearing from them. You don't know what they're up to. You don't know if she's hurt. You don't know where she is mentally. So it's a big mystery right now as to why she didn't show up, especially since she was on the list, the start list to show up there. Yeah. It's kind of a mystery as to what's going on with her camp right now.
Yeah, her lane was left empty.
Yeah.
So if indeed it was a situation where she told the organizers that she wouldn't have been there, I suspect that it was done really late in the piece. So yeah, Brianna Williams did turn up. She ran the first round, 11:34, and then did not return for the final. Based on what you saw on Saturday, has it changed anything in terms of how you felt, let's say, when you saw her over 200 meters a month ago?
Not really, because the reason why I spoke to her people right after, and they told me that she felt some tightness as she came out of the dry fields on Saturday. And you kind of, when you watch the race back, you will see where she tightened up a little bit, and then Natasha Morrison ran past her. That was decided to not run the final to ensure that there is no further injury. Because if you remember earlier, we were told, well, not so earlier we were told, I was informed that a hamstring injury was partially one of the reasons for that terrible 200 that we saw a few weeks ago. So that injury apparently it wasn't healed enough, and then flared up again on Saturday, so which is one of the reasons why she didn't run the 100-meter final.
Given everything that we have seen from Brianna Williams this season, is it far-fetched to think that she could turn up at the Nationals in July and not make the 100 final?
Given the depth of the field that we've seen now, with the plethora of sprinters all over the place coming through, there's a strong possibility. I mean, she's going to have to improve a lot. I mean, it's still early days yet. It's still April. And so she'll have to improve a lot over the next six weeks for her to be able to get to that level where she's going to have to run somewhere in the region of 10.8 to make that team. And if she's not, she's going to probably be watching it on TV, because the reality is that the pool is getting deeper by the day. Yeah. I mean, we even see now Alana Reid, there's a word now that she might go pro as opposed to going to Oregon. I don't believe that to be true. But there's a nice school of young ladies coming through. Serena Cole, you can't rule her out if she decides to go for the national championships as well. So you're looking at a very, very deep field. We saw Janila Smith running 11:35 on Saturday. If she gets it together, she could go a lot faster by the time the championships roll around. So it's not a given that Brianna is going to make that team. She's going to have to improve significantly over the next few weeks for her to then ensure. Because, I mean, we haven't even seen Kemba Nelson since either. We heard that she had an early season injury, which kind of delayed her progress.
Yeah.
But we know what she's capable of once she's healthy. So we're hearing that Kerrica Hill might even do the double.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of people right now who are contending for those spaces, because all things being equal, Shericka Jackson wins at 100 because Shelly Fraser-Pryce doesn't need to run.
Yeah.
So the next is everybody else is running for those two places, so it's going to be even stiffer competition.
Yeah, and one name you did not call, Ashanti Moore.
Yeah, 11-1 on the weekend.
11-1-2 beating.
The
reported financial record breaker.
Record breaker. Yeah, I saw the race and she looked. I mean, it wasn't the perfect race, and the win wasn't. I think it was minus 1.2. So that's a pretty impressive time. 11-1-2 with Abby Steiner chasing you. Yeah. You know, there are so many young ladies running fast. Cara Grant, 10.99 as well.
Yeah, Kerrica was pretty smart in the sprint hurdle Saturday as well.
She blew my mind. Listen. Megan Tapper had that race covered, huh?
Yes.
And I know it was only Megan. It's Megan's opener.
Yeah.
And Megan had a half a hurdle on her. And then it's almost as if she said, and she switched the turbo on, and then boom. And I'm like, whoa, 12.75. Remember, this girl just turned 18 in March.
Yeah.
Her previous record was 12.76, I think it was. Right? And this was, I think the wind was also negative. I'm trying to remember if it was. You can check and tell me.
Yes.
But it was an amazing performance. But when you consider, however, that she's a 3-time World Under-20 champion, that situation probably would not have phased her at all. And it was a very impressive performance. In fact, I think both of them ran really well. But Kerrica Hill is, as I said before, I've said it right here on the set, that I think of all the young ladies coming through, she's perhaps the most talented. And I think she showed it again on Saturday.
Yeah, negative 0.1 meters per second was the wind speed. Again, this might sound obvious, but does Kerrica Hill break the world under-20 record this year, 12.71, held by Brittany Anderson, another Jamaican?
Well, it's very, very likely. Put it that way.
Well, I'll tell you what, Leighton, if she doesn't break the world under-20 record, she's not making the team.
I know.
And she's very much on course to breaking the world under-20 record with a 12.75 opener. Yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, when you look at this girl, this is her second race of the season in the hurdles. 12.86.
Well, third race, second meet.
Yeah. But 12.86, I think it was her first race, I think it was.
12.6 with a wind aid in 12.68, I think it was. Then a wind legal 12.8.
And then now today.
Yeah.
So
huge discussion about Kerrica deciding to go pro.
Yep.
I think she's answering a lot of questions with her performances at the moment. Now, the 2-time world 200-meter champion Noah Lyles of the USA was beaten by high school standout Isama Singa in the 100 meters at the Pure Athletics Spring Invitational Meet. This happened in Claremont, Florida on Sunday. Singa ran a wind-aided 9.83 seconds, the fastest time in all conditions by an American high school athlete. Lyles finished second in 9.92. And the headlines here are not looking too grand for the outstanding American sprinter. Did he underestimate this high schooler, Leighton?
This kid is fast, lads. Listen, he's run 10.10. He's run 20.11. He's run 20.4 indoors. He's from Zambia. He goes to Monteverde, which is the same school that Aliyah Hobbs attends.
Yes.
He's a freak of nature. I watched that race on Saturday. He had Lyles covered early. I remember that.
Having said that, though, everybody has Lyles covered early. In a 100 meters race, everybody has Lyles covered. Yeah.
But he couldn't peg him back.
That's the big deal right there.
Because look, Lyles has run what, 9.8 or 6, I think it is.
I think he has a legal 9.95 already this year. So.
And this kid held him off comfortably. Yeah. Because you're talking about 9.83, to, notwithstanding the wind. The wind was 2.6.
Yeah.
So that 9.86 is about a 9.87 legal, a wind legal. Yeah. So you're looking at somebody who's running at 18, 9.87, 9.88, you know, it's in that region. And the world 200 meter champion who's supposed to be having superior speed endurance at the late part of the races could not put him back, losing by 1/10 of a second in the short sprints at a city block. So you have to think, I mean, how special is this kid? And it speaks to a broader question as well about the return of the Africans in terms of sprinting. Because Lance, you probably remember the Zinger brothers from back in the 1980s and 1980s, And the reality is that we're seeing Omeliala and others now. See, he's actually pulling away from Lyles as he approaches the line. He is absolutely stunning. Quick boy.
Leighton, are we at the stage in track and field where we have to reconsider what is a quality performance. And I ask that against the background that now we're seeing more and more athletes running really, really fast. So let's say, for example, Adeja Hodge at that very meet, another teenager who ran 11.12.
First year class one in Jamaica, for those who want to know.
Yes. So I remember when I just started watching track and field, if you ran 11.12, you would immediately be in the conversation. In much the same way as if a junior went sub 10 or anybody went sub 10, they would immediately be in the conversation. When Asafo Paul went sub 10 for the first time, he was right away in the conversation. But do we now have to rethink the type of times that put individuals in the conversation?
Absolutely. I mean, for women, anything over 11 seconds right now does not get you in the conversation. The reality is that we're looking at a situation where the running shoes have improved. Running gear, you're looking at better nutrition, better coaching, better environments from which athletes can perform. You know, the running tracks are a lot more, the technology has now given a situation where the tracks give you back a lot of energy while you're sprinting. You're not as hard as before. Well, not as soft as before, sorry. And when you're looking at a situation where everything is in favor of fast times. Yeah. And of course, the athletes, obviously the talent level is there as well. So what we're seeing now is that the bar has moved significantly in the past few years, because remember, Veronica Campbell-Brown won the world title in 2007 with 11.01 or 11.1 or something like that. Yeah. That wouldn't get you to the final.
Mind you, into a negative win, but to be fair to Veronica.
Yeah, but the reality is that even if you factored in the win, it would be like a 10-9. That doesn't get you a medal these days, does it?
It's not even sure to get you into the final.
Yeah. So everything combined, the nutrition, the running spikes, the training methodology,
the tracks, a lot of the new surfaces as well
are fast.
Pretty fast.
Yeah, and of course training. I mean, the coaches coming to understand the physiology a little bit more and what triggers better performances have given all of these athletes the advantage now to run even faster than they've ever run before. Yeah. So I think so when you see, for example, Leah Hodge running 11.12, it's impressive because of the age group level.
Adeja
Hodge, sorry. Yeah. And you're looking at a situation where you expect her now to then transition into that 10-9 range in the next maybe year or two, wherein then she starts to become part of that conversation. Yeah. How fast after that will determine whether or not she's truly in the conversation.
And we're running out of time, Leighton, but at the end of the day, even if she gets to 10.9, she is still 0.3 to 0.4 of a second down on what the best in the world are doing. So maybe we need to start having a conversation about where these athletes are from the best in the world and compare it to where top juniors were from the best in the world 10 or 15 years ago, and you might well find the difference is the same.
The active standard right now is 10.54 of them. For women.
Yeah, absolutely
for men, it's 9.58.
Yeah. We're going to have a lot more discussions on this, because this is a world championship year, and of course the Pan American Games coming up later in the year as well. So track and field will be a huge part of our SportsMax Zone discussions in the coming months. We go to break. When we come back, the second zone updates.
Stay with SportsMax on YouTube and follow us on all social pages for updates, news and entertainment.